Hey Pearls and Pals, it's Allie from Pearl Perspectives, and today I'm coming to you with the first video in a new series we're calling Project Purls. So, what is a Project Purl, you might be wondering? Well, this is a new video series that Karine, Anaï, and myself have decided to start, wherein we each have a larger, overarching, maybe year-long or longer period of time project that we're hoping to start. And we want to take you along on that journey, but it might be just a little bit too much for us to talk about in full detail on the regular pod. So we thought, why not create a dedicated stream of videos just to those projects? So for me, my project of the year, what I will be dedicating my future Project Purl videos to, is a knit-along, a make-along challenge called the 12 cast-ons. Now, I've spoken a little bit about it on our regular pod, so this might sound a little bit familiar to you, but there is a podcaster based in South Wales by the name of Angie. Her channel is called YarnNYarns, and over the last few years, she's been hosting this making challenge where between December 24th and January 31st, you cast on or start 12 different projects. Now, these projects, they don't just have to be knitting. They can be crochet, they can be spinning, they can be weaving, they can be embroidery, they can be any kind of textile art. And the whole point of this challenge is to set you up for your future weeks, months, years worth of making. Now, the goal here is to complete as many as you can of these 12 cast-ons by December 24th of that following year. So it gives you kind of a full year-long make-along. And so I decided to take up the challenge this year after discovering her channel. Thank you to the YouTube algorithm for introducing me to Angie. And I've kind of got a bit of a melange this year in terms of projects. So I thought I'd take you through what I've started, and hopefully every 6 to 8 weeks or so, I'll pop back in with an update video, seeing where I am on each of those projects. So let's get started. These are in no particular order. I can't actually remember which one I casted on first, second, third, but we'll just grab what's right in front of me and go from there. So one of the first projects where is it? Oh, actually, this was the first one that I started. I know that much. This is my first of the 12 cast-ons. This is the Daft Days shawl by Rebecca Clow, the Crayabea, and all of these patterns and things will be listed down below. Now, this is a shawl that uses like slip stitches to create a really nice kind of ribbed pattern, as you can see, and I'm really excited to be working on this one. I have been using a yarn countdown from Hello Stella Fibers. This, I believe, was the 2023 offering. Yeah, 2023, I think. And it is all based off of the 2005 Pride and Prejudice movie, the one with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden, one of my personal favorite movies. And I've been holding on to this since 2023, waiting for the perfect pattern. And the Daft Days came out, I think that maybe was it even that year, maybe? But it was fantastic, and I knew I wanted to knit it with this yarn. I just needed the right time to start it, and this was it. This was the right year. So I'm already in my second repeat of the colors. I'm going in the order that I opened them. Yes, I'm going in the order that I opened them. So not really any particular thing like that. I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 colors in here twice. I'm going to complete a full second repeat, see how big it is, and if I have enough yarn, I might actually do a third repeat of all of the colors. So I'm holding, it's a contrast color, and then the main color, and then a contrast color, and then the main color, and then a contrast color, just to kind of give it that stripe variation. So I'm having a good time with this one, and I think this one might be one of my, I hesitate to say priority, but one of the ones I pick up more often until it's done, just because I love it so much. It's a very easy stitch pattern to memorize, and it's very fun to just see the colors just appear and appear and appear. So that's the first project that I will show you. Let's see, project number 2. I think this was actually like the 8th or 9th that I started, but it doesn't really matter. This is a Musselburgh hat, but I'm doing it a bit differently than I have in the past. Now, in the past, when I've made Musselburgh hats, I've cast on with the main color and then just knit until I've run out of yarn and then finished it off with a scrap or a contrast color or something like that. This time, I'm changing it up. I cast on with the main color, and now I'm knitting them helically to give this striped effect. This is a sock set that I received from the Farmer's Daughter Fibers. I was a member of I think it was the 2024 Year of Socks, the sock club that she had going on, that Candace had going on, and I loved it so much. This was the October color. I think it's called the Borrowers. I can't quite remember. Yeah, I think it was called the Borrowers, but I loved it so much I ended up getting a second sock set of it. I knit a pair of socks, which somehow my mom has. I don't remember giving them to her, but she has the socks I made out of my initial sock set, and I purchased the second one with the intention of making this hat. So I'm glad to have finally cast it on. This is one of my favorite hat patterns I've knit. I think this is my 7th Musselburgh now. I'm pretty sure. And I've decided to go micro striping just because I want to have the option of having the fun color on one side or the fun pattern on one side, and then the other end be the full main color. So depending on how I feel each day or what jacket I'm wearing, or however I'm really just moving through the world, I can decide if I want the fun stripes or if I want just the solid blue. I think this is going to be a really, really nice hat when it's done. And it's been really good meditative knitting. Just because I'm past the increases, so I'm in a tube. It's pretty easy. And just as an aside for anybody wondering, I don't use the pinhole cast on. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It looks so clean, I'll give you that. It does look better than what I've done here. I'm using the Turkish cast on. It's similarly to what you could use when you do toe up socks. I just do it this. Once it's blocked out and it's on your head, it does look a little bit more circular than now. It kind of looks like a bar here, but truly you don't even notice it when you're wearing it. So I just find that one a little less fussy and one that I've actually memorized. So that's my personal preference to do. So the second of the 12 is this Musselburgh hat using a sock set from Farmer's Daughter Fibers. Just got it tucked in like that, and I'll put that away. Now the third project I'm going to show you today is not knitting, actually. This is an embroidery project. Ta-da! This is the Stitch Along, the 2026 Stitch Along, hosted by Vika's Space. Vika is a Ukrainian embroidery designer based in the UK, and every single year she hosts a free stitch along where you get a pattern and it's separated into 52 different sections, and every week she sends you one section's color. So I am 2 weeks behind. I have to do this one and this one here. I'll probably do that today or tomorrow, we'll see. But it's been really nice to sit down and have, depending on the size of the space, I think these each took me like maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And it's all satin stitch, so it really isn't overwhelmingly complicated. Once you've mastered the satin stitch in your first and second week, you're good to go for the rest of the pattern, which is quite nice. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this works up in the end, because there are 18 colors that she's selected. I have them all here in this little fishy ceramic dish that I got. There's a sardine in the bottom of it, but you can't see it. I'm not gonna pull all the stuff out. But I've got all of my embroidery floss here using the color code that she gave us. And I would just like to take a second and say this. If you are somebody who loves to do embroidery and you have friends who also love to do embroidery or cross stitch or anything, and you're starting a project and you don't necessarily already have all the colors you need, ask your community members, because one of my embroidery friends was able to give me this wonderful little card that she made with 6 of the colors I needed for this. And it was really, she said it wasn't anything, it was a yard, I think is what I requested, a yard of each one. And I'm gonna have a lot left over, I know that much. But she said, it was absolutely nothing to her to give this to me because she's got so much thread. And it was actually very kind. And so in the future, if she's ever looking for thread and doesn't have a color, I will absolutely be digging into my own stash to see if I have them, and then I can help her out with it. So would definitely recommend poking around in your own embroidery community so that you can meet the needs of your patterns without necessarily having to go out and buy new floss. Once again, this is the 2026 Stitch Along from Vika's Space, and I'll have all of her website details down below so that you can follow along yourself if you so desire. The next project I'm going to show you is, surprise, surprise, socks. This shouldn't surprise anybody that of course I had to include socks in this challenge. I love knitting socks. It's one of my always on the needles kind of projects. There exists a sock. This sock bag lives in my backpack and I take it to and from work every single day. I work on it on the train. I work on it at lunchtime. If I'm sitting in a long seminar or some training, you better believe these are coming out. So socks, of course we're making it into the challenge. I have the 52 weeks of socks. I have both volume 1 and volume 2, but for this section of the challenge, this would be number, let's just say it's number 4. I have decided to copy Angie, the creator of this challenge, and instead of just doing a single pair of socks, I'm gonna do multiple and count them as one cast on. My goal is to knit, why don't we commit to 3 pairs of socks from this book, and that will count as a single cast on. And I'm doing that because every single year I try to knit 6 pairs of socks for the people in my immediate family as Christmas gifts. And so I figured if I started this year with this challenge, then maybe I could get a couple of those pairs knocked out earlier in the year. We'll see. Now I say that, but the first pair I've casted on are for myself. So, you know, it is what it is. Now I've started the Branches socks. They're this beautiful overall lace sock pattern, and they are by Amanda Jones. 52 weeks of socks. And I have decided to do them just a little bit differently from the way the pattern has written them. So I did the full leg in the lace pattern, but I really didn't want to carry the lace down the top of the foot because I find I like wearing my hand knit socks inside my Bluntstone boots. And as a result, at the end of the day, when I take my boots off, I have the lace or the pattern, the texture pattern, like impressed into the top of my skin. Yes, I know I am dehydrated. I need to drink more water. This wouldn't be an issue if I drank more water. But I decided that I wasn't going to do that for these. I was just going to do the lace on the leg and then just a regular slip stitch heel and stockinette foot with my preferred wedge toe. So I'm kind of doing the pattern up to here and then stopping and then doing my regular vanilla sock pattern after that. But I am loving how this is turning out. This is I don't believe I have the tag in here, but this is an Manos del Uruguay yarn. I purchased this at one of our local yarn stores, Wool Time, I think back in 2019. So I'm very happy that I can be reaching into my stash, into my slightly older stash, if I'm being honest, and finally letting these socks have their time to shine. And yeah, I am obsessed with how this color is working up. I think at the end of this, it usually takes me between 55 and 70 grams of yarn to knit myself a pair of socks, depending on how long I make the leg. So I will definitely have a good, 25, 30 grams left of this, which means that that'll probably be added to like a fun, stripey, scrappy sock or something. It's super soft, super colorful. And this is the first of my 3 pairs from the 52 Weeks of Socks book. I promise my second pair will be a gift pair. I promise to try to make my second pair a gift pair. Let's be real. I'll get there someday. I don't know which pairs from the book I'll do next, but I will be including volume 2, 52 weeks volume 2 in my options as well. So I'll pick from, 104 patterns that I have to choose from. And depending on how quickly I get through these 3 pairs, I might tack on a couple extra at the end. We'll see. The next thing I'm going to show you, it's living in a crate right now, in a milk crate, but that's because I was out of my larger baskets and this just fit the bill. One of my coworkers was incredibly kind, and while thrifting a couple of weeks ago, saw a couple bags of wool and picked them up for me very kindly, and then brought them down to me as a gift and said, hey, I know you knit a lot, and I know that you knit a lot for charity, so I wanted to grab this for you when I saw it. Here you go. And I said, thank you, that's incredibly kind. I will absolutely do that. So I grabbed the biggest ball that was in the top of the first bag, and I have already knit 1 baby hat. I'm obsessed. It's so cute and so tiny. And I am now almost done. I'm just about to start the crown decreases, the shaping for this hat. as well. This will be an adult one. So I knit for various charities, and more often than not, I just like knitting a bunch of things and then having them as a cache so that when an organization advertises that they're in need of something, or I go to an event and they're collecting for a charity, I already have some ready. That's my preferred way of doing it. So we, as my knitting group, knit baby hats for the Ottawa Hospital Network for the birthing unit. Every child born in an Ottawa hospital, like Ottawa Network Hospital, receives a hat hand knit by community members. So we have a whole bunch of incredible crocheters and knitters who have made up a bunch of little hats, mine included, that I actually have to give them all a good wash with, like baby safe detergent. And then I will have them handed off to the Ottawa Hospital so that all of the babies born in the spring can have some hats. And I have a friend of mine who reached out when I posted about this on Instagram a few weeks ago and said, oh my God, please make big hats. My baby had a huge head. So this is for you, friend, who I will not say their name. For all large-headed babies in the future, I will endeavor to make large baby hats. Yeah. All of the patterns that I use for any of the accessories that I do, I'm aiming to do like hats, mitts, maybe a scarf or two, we'll see. All of those patterns I will list on the Ravelry page for this overarching project. So I think I just used, for the baby hat, I think I just used the rye pattern from Tin Can Knits, but I omitted the pearl bump stripe. And for this hat, you'll have to quote me if I'm wrong, Ravelry, but I think it's called the Peace and Love hat. It was a free pattern online. So just going with that. And yeah, I'll pull out bits and bobs from the bag, take the weight of each ball, determine how much there is, and then if it's a small amount, I might turn it into a baby hat. If it's a larger amount, I might turn it into an adult hat, or I might make some stripy mitts or whatever. We'll see. There's also several organizations here in the city, like Matthew's House, which collects donations, warm wear things for newly arriving refugees and immigrants, helping them get kit out for winter, because here in Ottawa, it does get really cold and really snowy. And there's also an incredible group called Steps Off the Street that is doing everything they can possible to get people experiencing homelessness into addiction recovery programs, to kind of help them transition into those recovery programs so that they can, make their way out of homelessness and into a better life. And part of what they're doing, especially now in the winter, is providing people who have not yet been able to make that transition, or who are in the process of making that transition, getting them kitted out for winter as well. So I will be making as many things as my little hands can churn out over this winter. I'll make a bunch over the summer, and then in the next fall, I'll have another bunch more to donate, hopefully. So keep me honest on this, folks. It's very nice to be able to do something for our community members, especially in a time where it feels really hopeless to be out there in the world right now. So doing what we can in our local communities is a really, really good first step. And if you don't have the time or the ability, definitely please donate some money to these organizations. Even $5 to any local community organization that's putting in the work is so important. So if you can make the things, or donate your time, or donate your energy, that's great. If you can't, a couple of dollars really goes a long way. So any of the local community organizations in your community. Think about food kitchens, think about people helping with addiction recovery, people helping make sure that homeless people, or people experiencing homelessness, have their needs met with dignity. Any charities or associations working with hospitals or people who are ill or chronically ill, anything like that. Really important that we put our time and our energy and our money where we can. Okay, I will get off my soapbox. I love being in community, and I think it's important to take care of our community, but that's not what this episode is about. The next project that I have to show you is a knit sweater that I bought the yarn for this, I want to say in like 2020 or 2021. I can't quite remember. This is a lace weight yarn from Riverside Studios. This is a dyer who is local to me. She lives up in, I want to say Wakefield, just up in the Gatineau River Valley, so very close by. And this is a colorway called Muted Morning. It is the softest gray with just the barest hints of purple in there. And I I laid my eyes on this and I didn't even know what I was gonna make with it, but I needed to have this yarn. So I bought 2 skeins of this and I sat on it for quite a while. And then I discovered the Diafina pattern. Who is it by? I'm fully blanking on it, but I have my iPad just right here off screen and I can tell you. The Diafina pattern is by Camilla Larson and it is, well, actually, let me just show you. That might be a bit easier because I don't have much. I have just gotten past the short rows and I'm on like row 3 of the pattern. So, all right, this is Ravelry. So if you can't look, please look away, but it is just the photo on Ravelry. I cannot. This is gorgeous. All right, Ravelry's away. So this is a pattern that involves a lace yoke and then is knit in lace weight yarn at a very large gauge. So it's gonna have this like open and flowy kind of feeling. And I'm really, really excited to knit this one up. As I said, I only have, I think 5 rows of the lace chart done so far. So it doesn't look like much, but I'm excited at getting stuck in it again. It is definitely an adjustment, working such thin yarn on such a large needle. I typically knit between a 2mm and maybe a 4mm is like where I knit 80% of my projects. So knitting this on I think it's a 4.5mm needle is a bit of an adjustment, but I'm sure once I pick it up and I'm working on it regularly, it really won't be an issue at all. All right. Now, the next project I'm going to show you, I didn't grab it. I have the yarn, but I didn't grab the project. So, in the magic of editing, I will be back in 3, 2, 1. I can't with this thing. It's so cute. This is the Rybka pouch by, the Sea Rat and Sea. Hold on. I also have this on Ravelry. This is by Rat and Sea Witch. That is the person behind the pattern. And it is this tiny little pouch. You use an I-cord as a drawstring. You use a button as the eyeball. I didn't put one on the other side, that's fine. The body is knit in a combination of stockinette and garter, and then you use a slip stitch, or not a slip stitch. You're knitting through the back loop ribbing to do the tail. And I have put all of my dice in it. I mean, there's more in here, but my whole dice set fits inside this little pouch, including my extra D20. Gotta be able to roll for advantage very expediently. Oh no, that's fine. My nail just caught on one of the fibers and pulled a little bit. But this is such a cute pattern, and it actually worked up really quickly. I did the first, because you knit it the front and you knit the back separately, and then you seam it together, and then you knit the I-cord, and that is used as the drawstring. So I think it took me, if I remember correctly, like maybe 3 nights, like an hour and a half each night to do. So really not that long. It uses a crochet join to seam the 2 pieces together. I just could not get the hang of it, so I just mattress stitched it, but I think it looks pretty neat. I'm gonna try making another one, but I'm gonna hack the pattern to knit it in the round if I can. We'll see. There was a couple of other people who had project pages where they had made one in pieces and seamed it, and then made one in the round and showed the difference, and you really can't tell. So I'm gonna try my next one in the round. My goal, my hope, my plan is to knit one for every member in my current D&D campaign, and then give them as gifts at Christmas. That is 8 more pouches, so I don't know if I will actually succeed in that. So my goal for this challenge, for this cast on challenge, is to make 3. I think whenever I do something in multiples, I'll just do it in 3, just because that's a good achievable number, and then any that I get above that are just like bonus points, right? So these are knit on a 3mm needle. This was the yarn that I used for this one. This is from Lichen and Lace. It was in the 2024 sock club. I think it's called like Dandelion Dreams or something like that. I can't quite remember. It'll all be below attached to my Ravelry page. And this is it's the Galactic Mohair from Full Moon Fibers. And I believe it's called Willow. Yeah, it's called Willow. I used this one in my sister's doppio that I made her last year for Christmas, and it had quite a bit of leftovers, so I'm glad that I was able to use some here. It didn't take much. I think it was only like 8 grams of this. I can't remember. I weighed it, but I didn't input it into Ravelry, so that's on me. But my next combo is gonna be these two. Actually, I say that this pigment and ply mohair is from this sweater that I'm currently wearing. And this is some Shirley Bryan yarns that I have left over from what did I use this for? Oh, I used this for the Shawlography shawl by Stephen & West, which I want to say that was the 2022 Mystery Knit-Along shawl, and this was one of my colors. So I've been holding on to this scrap for a while, and I'm really excited to make a little blue fishy ribka pouch to make as a gift. So cute. So that is my next project, or my next cast on. Yeah. What are words? Words are hard. Words are confusing. But what are words? All right, so on to the next one. I will be making a lot of bits and bobs. I will have a lot of leftover scraps at the end of all of these cast-ons. So I thought it might be worthwhile to start a scrappy project, because I also have a lot of scraps already from years past. And so I thought it might be nice to start a scrappy project so that any scraps that I make have a place to go immediately, and they don't just live perpetually in my scrap bucket. This is the Jelly Roll pattern by KF Jones of the Bakery Bears. I've only just started. Ta-da! This is the first stripe. This is a really cool pattern because it's made modularly in the sense that you knit one stripe, and then when you have the length that you want, you pick up at the bottom of the first stripe and you attach as you go up and up and up and up and up. So I think that'll be really fun to do, because at first it's not going to be a lot of knitting that you're carrying around with you. And then as I move through the year and as I get toward the fall and the winter and the blanket gets bigger and bigger and bigger, then I can start draping it over my legs as I'm knitting, which I think will be really nice. So my goal is to have this cover a double bed. That's what I wanted, right? Yeah, cover a double bed, because that's what I have in the guest bedroom at my place. And I think it'd be nice to have not only on the couch during the winter, but if I ever have anyone staying over and it does get cold, it's Canada, it does get cold, then I can put the blanket on top of them as an extra layer and they can be warm and cozy, not just because they're staying with me, but because they'll have a hand knitted blanket on top of them. So this will be fun. I'm gonna roll this one back up. And my goal is, as I said, as I finish projects and I have scraps left over, to just start adding them in where I can. I'm doing fingering weight held double, or in some cases I have DK weight yarn, so I'm just using that single. But I have also found that in my stash, I have some yarn that kind of works up to a sport weight. So I have this cone of a lace weight acrylic that's just been hanging out for a while. And so wherever I have anything that's like sport weight or maybe like a really heavy fingering weight, I'll hold that double with that extra white lace weight. So you get these little bits of marled spaces, but then it also kind of makes sure that this is a DK and this is that sport weight held with that lace. And it isn't quite as big of a like thin to thick area versus this is fingering weight held double. So yeah, I think it'll even out that way. We'll see. I'm excited to see how it goes. And I think this one will also be really good for me, because it's not one that I feel like I need to be working on all the time. As I finish scraps, I can put that, 10, 15, 20, whatever gram in here, and then I can set this aside until the next bit of yarn is ready. I do have a couple of bits of yarn that I have pulled to kind of get me started, which is nice, and I'll just add more to it as I go. Again, this is not a project that I feel like I need to rush. It'll be done when it's the right size, and that's really all that matters. So I'm excited. I've been wanting to knit this blanket for a long time, and I'm glad that I finally started it. Sometimes you just need that kick in the pants to get you started. So my next cast on, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait a second. No, this is 9. This is 9. This is cast on 9. This is actually a belated Christmas gift for my mom. So this will probably be the first one finished. This is the Lusk Tee, also by Rebecca Clow. I really like how she writes her patterns, okay? I'm just a big fan. This is the Lusk Tee. I'm doing it in a acrylic, a fingering weight acrylic in this beautiful light purple colorway that she specifically requested. I've joined, this is the back here. I've joined in the round. And so I've got, what is this? Maybe like 5-ish inches, 4.5, 5 inches done from the underarm. Yes, this was supposed to be a Christmas gift. I ran out of time. Are we surprised? No, we're not surprised. I also made a mistake with this one when I first started it, and I misread the pattern instructions, and I thought that I was supposed to join in the round sooner than I was supposed to. So at one point, the back or the front of it was like up here, and it was clearly uneven. So I most recently just went in, cut this open, knit another like 30 rows or whatever it was that I needed, and then grafted it back together because I had already joined in the round. Oops, I've lost a stitch. I had already joined in the round, and it was, I wasn't pulling back. I already had like at least 2 inches of the body, and I wasn't ripping back. So I just did a little bit of careful grafting. You can kind of see, like there's my graft line there. But I know that once I block this, it'll become invisible. So if you ever do that, if you ever start a project and you realize after the fact that you screwed up somewhere way back, it is a lot easier than you think to just cut in, add a bit, and then graft it closed again. Very simple. I can understand how it would be nerve-wracking. It was when I first did it, but after the first time, I'm like, oh, that was easier than I thought. So don't be afraid to cut your knitting apart if you have to. Ta-da! So this will have a collar and some short sleeves, and then I've got about 10 more inches on the body to go, including the ribbing. I can't remember how much ribbing there is supposed to be on the bottom. So let's just say like 8 inches of knitting and then like 2 inches of ribbing, but we'll see. My mom took a photo. She was watching one of the Real Housewives, I don't know which one, and she saw one of the housewives wearing a shirt, and she really liked it. And so she paused her TV, and then she took a blurry photo of her TV to send me to be like, this is what I want. And it's like, the photo is like from like here up of the person wearing it. So the only thing I could really make out was that it was a drop shoulder, and it had the collar detail was like a purl bump, ribbing, and then I-cord edging. So I've kind of like told her in advance, I'm like, it's not gonna look like the one you saw because there was not enough of an image to go off of, but this is what I think is what you're wanting. And she was like, yeah, that's what I want. So I was like, great, awesome, wonderful. I'm hoping to have this one done ideally before Easter, because we are going to visit my sister on the other side of the country, and she wants to wear it then. So I think by April is easy. I think the end of March, 2 months to finish this shouldn't be an issue. So that's going to be one of my priority projects for the next little bit. Now my final cast on, project number 10, however, is something that I've shown on the regular podcast. This is where's the front, where's the back? Nope. Yes, this is the back. Okay. This is going to be a beach cover-up. It doesn't look like much right now. This is based off of it's inside out. That's why it doesn't look like much. Whoopsie. This is based off of the Tolsta Tee pattern, also by Rebecca Clow. Don't at me, I already own the pattern, okay? But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it into a tunic length dress because I am using this cake of tencel, and this is way more than I would need to just do like a shirt. So I'm just gonna keep going until I run out. It is a gradient. Let me get that back in there. It is a gradient, so it starts in the green, it transitions into like a dark red, dark orange, light orange. And so my plan is to do I-cord edging at the top of the neck, and then I-cord edging around the sleeve cap in the orange from the very other end, and then to carry on with the gradient all the way down so that it transitions from dark to light. This one will be slow going, but I'm hoping that I can have it finished by Worldwide Knit in Public Day in June. I mean, that seems pretty reasonable. Hopefully. We'll see. I might get tired of working with the tencel and just put it on hibernation for a little bit, which is totally warranted. You know, if your knitting ever makes you want to pause, if picking it up is a trial, then you can put it on break. There's no reason for you to pick up and finish a project if it's irking you. You can put it in hibernation. It's totally fine. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Now, my final two projects for the 12 cast-ons are not new projects. This is something that is allowed within the parameters of the challenge, which I'm really thankful for, because they are two projects, well, essentially they've been hanging around for a while, and I really would like to get back into the flow of working on them, and I think having them part of this rotation will help with that. So the first is, oh, I've got a bunch of hair stuck to it. The first is a spinning project. Now, this, oh, I guess I broke the yarn. I did break the yarn. Okay, so this is fiber from Fireweed Fibre Co, who is based in Manitoba, I want to say. It is the Adrift colorway on their Polworth base. It comes in a beautiful gradient. It goes from the really light blue into the dark blue. And this is the middle, kind of the middle of the skein. So I have to finish this, I don't know if it's bump, is that the right word? It's roving that I have double pre-drafted, and I'm now actively spinning. So I think maybe bump is the right word, I'm not sure. I have split it into, so I have, okay, when I first got the braid, way back when, I split it into two sections. One of those sections has been living in my closet, my yarn closet, for like 2 years. The other section, I split it in half, and then I split one of the halves into quarters, right? So I have one half, I have a quarter, and I have 2/8. So I've spun 1/8, I'm spinning the second 1/8, and then I have this quarter to spin as well. And I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do it when I start spinning them together, when I start plying them. I'm not sure if I wanna do a 2-ply or a 3-ply. I think when I originally separated it all out in like 2022 or 2023, I think my goal was to have it be a 2-ply, but one of the plies be broken up so that it was like not a strong gradient, but like one ply was a gradient and the other ply was like the colors were rapidly changing. Is that called a fractal? I don't know. I'm still very new to spinning, so I'm still learning all the terminology. I think that might be called a fractal spin, but I'm not 100% certain. What I was aiming for is that barber poling effect that you often get in like hand-dyed yarn, where each ply is changing color at a different rate. So you get like really fun, like barber poling essentially. That is my ultimate goal. Will I achieve that? I don't know, but it'll be fun to try. So I'm hoping that by December, I will have all of the fiber spun up. It'd be ideal if I could have it all spun up and plied, but I don't want to set myself too high of a goal, because last November I did a challenge where I spun on this every single day for the full month. And even if it was only like 10 or 15 minutes, by the end of the month, I was actually feeling quite a bit of strain in my shoulder, just because I would, okay, to be fair, I was doing it wrong. I was drafting higher than I could reach, which you're not supposed to do, which can lead to injury. So don't do that. So in the future, when I am spinning, I will be sitting on a higher chair. I've got a bar stool behind me that's gives me a good extra like foot in height. So I will be probably sitting on that and spinning from like the shoulder downwards. So it'll be a lot slower of a process because I won't be drafting quite as long every time, but we gotta protect ourselves from craft related injury. Okay. I don't think my insurance would cover that. So we're not going to do it. No craft related injury. And we'll only do it for shorter periods of it at a time. But I'm really proud of how far I got. Like, I don't know if it'll focus. Anyway, I'm much more consistent in terms of spinning than I was when I started it at the beginning of November. Yeah, so we'll see how it turns out when we're playing. We'll see. I'm pretty hopeful that it'll be quite nice. I don't know what I'll do with the yarn yet. I don't know how much yardage I'm gonna get. I don't even know what weight it will ply up to, but we'll see. Could be fun. Could be fun. Now, the last project of my 12 cast-ons is going to be my oldest whip. This is a whip I started in, I don't know, I want to say like summer 2022. It's been hanging around for a good long while. I haven't picked it up in a hot minute. I think I worked on it a little bit last summer, maybe, or maybe I didn't. I don't even know if this will fit me anymore because it's been so long since I started it. This is the Stria cardigan by Andrea Mowry. I have the body done, as you can see. You know, I got the ribbing at the bottom. I've got one sleeve started, and that's about it. I am like, what, 5 or 6 inches into the sleeve, and I just haven't picked it up in at least a year. I do want to finish this. I really want to finish this because this is all knit in half fisherman's rib. It is so incredibly squishy and I love it. And it's like the stripes are in my favorite color combination of gold and maroon. And I love how it's working up. I am obsessed with it. The gray is this beautiful like tonal single ply that is just a dream to knit with. And I am very, 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 very slowly working on it, but I'm past the halfway mark, right? I've got the body done. I've got a sleeve started. All I have left is the rest of this sleeve, the second sleeve, and the button band. That's it. And the button band's going to be so simple because it's not like I have to do any special shaping or increasing or decreasing. At least I don't think I have to. And I'm not going to put buttons on it because I'm not a close up a cardigan person. If I wanted a sweater that was closed, I'd wear a pullover. So if I'm wearing a cardigan, it's worn to be open. Just my personal preference. So my final cast on of this challenge will be whatever the oldest whip is on my project card. And in this case, it's the Stria. It's the Stria. I'm hoping that once I get back into the flow of it, it'll go a lot. Like I'll actually reach for it, because the thing is with half fisherman's rib, you have to be very meticulous when counting rows because it can be easy to misread the stitches. On top of that, I have to do decreases because I'm in the sleeve. So every time I pick it up, I kind of want to sit down and commit to I can't quite remember what the pattern says. I think it's like 8 rows, or I think it's like 7 rows knitting and then the 8th row has the decrease, something like that. So what I want to do is I want to commit to sitting down for those 8, 10, whatever rows it is, to do 1 decrease at a time, just so that I can get back into the flow of it. And then every time I pick it up, I know where I am in the pattern. Because right now I'm like, I don't know. Did I just do a decrease? I could not tell you. I think maybe I might have done a decrease the row before. You know, honestly, I can't tell. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to sit and I'm just going to have to count rows from where I picked up the sleeve to begin with and just see if I can figure it out. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful this is the year I finally finish the Stria. And if it doesn't fit me at the end of it all, that's fine. I have a lot of very knit-worthy people in my life, and I think if I said to one of them, hey, I finished this cardigan, it doesn't fit me, would you like it? That they would they would take it, that they would wear it, that they would appreciate it, and that they would not throw it into the washing machine or the dryer accidentally. You know, girl can hope, girl can hope. So yeah, that is the last of my 12 cast-ons. It is a big, a big undertaking, especially since 1, 2, 3 of them, 4 of them are garments. So that is quite a bit. And 2 of the projects have multiple components to them. So that will be fun. Yeah, 2 of the projects have multiple components to them. That'll be fun. But really, at the end of the day, I'm not worried about having all of them finished by December 24th, 2026. If I have, well, I know I'll have at least 1 finished because I need to give this one to my mom. That's a gift. So I know I'll have at least 1 finished, and I'm like 99% certain that I can knit 3 pairs of socks this year. That'll happen. There's no worry there. As for everything else, if I finish it, great. If I don't finish it, also great. That gives me some awesome projects to go into next year with. I found it really fun this year to cast on and start so many things in early January, because there's so many projects out there that I have had in my queue for ages, so much yarn that I purchased specifically for these patterns and then just hadn't started them, probably because I had lots of other whips on the go when I purchased the yarn, but I have wanted to make them. So in casting them on and getting them all started, it feels like I now have permission to knit the things I want, as bananas as it is, because I always have permission to make the things I want, but it's this weird reframing in your brain that you have to do. Not quite mental gymnastics, but it was very freeing to cast on, to start so many things, and to say, yeah, I am going to make that for myself. Yeah, I am going to make this for myself. Yeah, I am going to make that for somebody else. But yes, it's going to be fun. So hopefully I'll be back in 6 to 8 weeks, life depending, and we'll have an update for you with lots of progress. I'm really hoping that I can have at least 1 thing finished by then. Who knows? Who knows? But I definitely want to be back here before Knit City Toronto to show you all my progress and keep you up to date with how the 12 cast-ons is going. So thanks for sticking around this long, and thanks for enjoying the first of what I hope is many more to come of our Project Purls series. I'm Allie, and have yourself a great day.